Hello, it's Paula here. We're here to do a little bit of scrapbooking on some sports photos that I've got here of my youngest son Logan, and I'm just going through first of all looking at how I can best use up my stash and create something really fun. So the first thing I like to do is head along to one of my idea books. It just gives me a starting point. It makes me start to visualize how I could look at these photos differently. So we've got quite a large space here taken up, and if I did all my photos this size, there's not going to be much creative space left on the page. So I start to look at how possibly I could cut this down. This one could probably be cut down to a 4x4 if I wish to, and I can start to see therefore what kind of patterns might work. So I've flipped through one of our latest books, it's volume 6, and I've looked at pattern 15. I thought I could get 6 beautiful photos on here, perhaps some flip-flaps if I need to for addition, and now I need to look at colours. So going through the different colours in the Close to My Heart palette, I found these bright primary colours which seem to work quite well with the solid colours in the uniform. So I have gone for Sapphire, Bluebird, Candy Apple, and Sundance, I think it was, or something similar. I will double check on that one. I've grabbed in some inks, so I've got those handy as well because there could be a chance of doing a little bit of stamping. Now, because I've got these sorts of colours, I then flipped through my paper packs, and as I've got my papers now sorted all by colour, it was very easy to pull out some papers that might work. So here is some papers that I kind of grabbed for example, to give you an idea of where I might start. So I've got many of these from a mix-in. I think they were actually from the mix-in, when was it? July, August in 2023. And here's a little bit from Hey Handsome, I think it was, as well, just in case I want to go that direction with a little bit of the reds. So I think that's all going to tie in nicely. Now, I did pull in a neutral colour too, so I've pulled in Mink just for a bit of a background shade, so it's not all the bright primaries because we can't do all that darker colour. Now, what else could I bring in to bring in the theme of sports on my page from my stash? So I had a little look-see through. First off, I have grabbed these background elements and the design elements stamp sets. These both were released during 2023. Both very adaptable and usable. They give that sort of grungy effect of sports fields, dirt, dust, what have you. There are stars here, which is quite a cool little element that could go with sports as well. So I've got those handy. Think that I may use those. There was also this lovely stamp that came out earlier in 2023. Loving right now. It's got a group shot statement, incredible moments, so very happy, awesome, fun time. So really good types of words for group sports, I thought. Now I was thinking about shapes. So I'm wondering whether I go a bit more towards the stars. And if I do, we have got the stencil. I mean, the colours are wrong. That's just my sample so I can see what happens with the stencil. But I have got the star stencil I could do in the backdrop. I've also got some star-shaped thin cuts, die cuts that I may be able to bring through if I choose to do that stars. And this is an oldie, but it's still available as of at the moment of filming, the Fresh Paint Scrapbooking. And that's got some really fun star sentiments as well as things like everyday cool, epic, super, awesome. So again, another really cool one for sports. So I may go that sort of way with my embellishing. Otherwise, we've also got this really fun design in our stencils as well. It's a bit more of a splotchy yellow, circles, which gave me the feeling and vibe of movement, which could be really cool. That being the case, we've also got the swirly circle, which I had as a die cut that came out this year in 2023. This one here too from a little while back. So I've got a whole heap of circles I could play with too. So stars, circles, one way or the other, that would look really fun and sportsy. Of course, I've got a few different embellishments that are going to tie in. So this is the orange yellow set and this is the blues set. So we've got that one there. And I'm going to need to do a title. So I've pulled in the starter alphabet. I actually took a little look at the group photo, if I can find it in amongst all this. Oh, here it is. This one here for the Zespri Ames Games seems to have just a blocky, solid title, which this would work too. So you can see I've got a whole array of fun products from my stash that I'm now going to do some creating with. Let's see what I create. Okay, so based on the colour choices that we had out and the pattern 15 from the new volume 6, this is what we've got so far. Now I was meant to have two 4x4 photos along here, but I do want to keep this as a 6x4, so we're going to just slightly tweak this layout slightly. Now first off, I think I will bring in just a little 2x4 piece, and that will still keep it square, but this can become like a little journaling spot or a little mini title. And I actually feel that the white is still looking a bit lost with these. So I've just cut some black mats, and I was just going to show you the effect or the difference by just putting in a tiny 1/8 of an inch, and in fact it's at 1/16, I should measure it, of an inch. You can kind of see how that defines it really well. So let's just see if I pop a few more of these black ones in. They're not attached properly, but you get the idea of how it just gives a little bit more structure to the page, a little bit more definition. So even though we've gone blues on this layout, the black, because of the black background here, and it is quite strong deep colours in the photos, the black actually does give it that little bit of an accent, and I think that compared to that is working really well. So I'll go away and do that in a minute, but the next thing I'm starting to consider is how we're going to decorate the background. So I chose to do the mink, just plain mink in the background, and as you can probably see, just as I pull this a bit closer, I've used that mix and pack that had the slight mink design just for a border. I tried the other way around, and I found this way just felt less busy, because they are quite busy in bold colours in this layout. So we're going with this. I feel like I might pull in the stars stencil, because there's a little bit of stars showing up on here. Stars sort of mean, you know, celebratory and success. So if I pull out this star stencil, you'll see we've got different options with this one. Actually, I'm going to pull it out with a backdrop. Is white going to show it up enough? Probably not. You can kind of see that in one corner up here, it's got some smaller little scattered stars. Over in this corner, there's a whole heap of tinsy-wincy little stars scattered, and a few larger. Then these ones show up because I've used one ink, I think it's the sapphire ink, stains a little bit. So this is in another project. You can see how it looks, but you can see there's some more decorative stars, and then this quadrant is all the larger stars. So I'm not possibly, because when I actually do all 4 quadrants, the way you create this pattern is to start with the one pattern. So you can see with this, actually let's put it this way around, you can see with this darker side that I've got the staining, you can see how this is doing these pieces here, which is this sort of darker colour. Then I actually twist it around and then do the darker colour over in this quadrant. Okay, and then I twist it around again and do the darker colour over in this quadrant. And then for the other quadrants, I do the same with another colour. And by twisting it 4 times around, you get the repeating pattern all the way around the piece. And that is awesome. However, I don't think I need that much pattern in the background over here. So I'm just going to select a little bit of this, probably some of these smaller stars, and I'm just going to do some random stenciling in the background here with the mink ink. So I'll just go grab those. Now I discovered I didn't have a blending brush already for my mink ink, so I'm going to get a new one out. Now this is a little tip for you when you're getting your brushes. If you want to keep them per ink or per colour shade, I write on with the silver metallic marker. So we're going to do a little bit of stenciling here to see how the effect goes. So I've secured it all down now with the stenciling in the background. So we're ready to think about a title and something with our journaling area here and some embellishments. So first off, I did go to the certificate that was with Logan's Graham. It didn't really have much in it that I wanted to keep as a certificate. I did cut out a few potential titles. So we've got Ames Games 2023. The name of the team was TIS Black Sticks, so I could do something a little like that. It is looking a little bit lost. So I do know I want to make the Ames Games a little bit brighter. So I went off to some of my thin cuts and I found the classic alphabet, which is a really large font. And I cut out in red and black the letters so that I have got the word Ames standing out really large, because that is the main primary thing here, is that he was part of the Ames Games. Now one that's been out in 2023 is this simple serif sort of a thin cuts and stamp set. This is the uppercase thin cuts. So I went off and just cut those out in black, and I think that's going to be solid enough. There was a stamp set with it as well, which can do an outline, but I actually quite like the font on its own as well. So I'm thinking Ames Games is going to work really nice and bold there. And then this was a hockey tournament. So there was a lot of different sports and codes going on in the Ames Games. It's like a little mini Olympics, which is really fun for the kids. So I have gone to that stamp set that I originally found, which is called the, the starter alphabet. And I thought this is great because it's just a little bit smaller than the others, so it's just graduating my title down. So I've gone and stamped out the hockey and tournament there. So we've got Ames Games Hockey Tournament, a large title, fills up that space really well with that bit of stenciling in the background. And then I looked at what we could do over here. So we have got a little white spot. It's too bright, so I'm not going to stamp on the white, but I thought if I brought back some of the mink, that's going to tone it down. So now I just need to decorate that little mink spot before I go and stick it all down to do my journaling. So I'm thinking I might pull back the background stamp set and use that crackle effect stamp. So it's one of the most used ones on this set. I love it, and I know a lot of other people have loved it too. So I'm just using the mink ink, and I'm just going to stamp over this a couple of times to pull in a little bit of that pattern. And it just helps to make the piece a little bit interesting. So it's not just a plain piece, but it is going to work really well on there. Now we're also going to have a little bit of journaling on there as well. So I'm thinking if I pull back that really cool Lovin' Right Now stamp set, there might be something in here that I can use as my title, like Group Shot, or So This Happened, Incredible Moments, that could be a good one. Or yeah, no, I think I might just do So This Happened. No, let's just go. Or Incredible Moments. I quite like that. So we'll pop Incredible Moments onto a little block. I'll see if I've got one that's wide enough. I can possibly make this one work on a diagonal, and we'll see if it is wide enough to stamp it. So it's not wide enough as it stands, so I can do a little bit of masking for the Incredible Moments. Or I could actually go back and just grab, which I actually really liked as well, Fun Times, which will fit a little bit better up the top. So I'm just going to use my black ink, and always when you go to stamp, for the first stamp, grab yourself some scrap paper and do your stamp onto the scrap paper. Has it stamped well? Could it be a bit bolder? Ink it up again, stamp again. It's starting to look a little bit bolder still, but I'm still not quite happy with it. So one more time. It's definitely getting darker and bolder, so I'm happy with that now. Now I can go onto my actual piece and write this up the top. Fun Times. Okay, so that's a good starting point for my journaling on there. I could also pull out these lots of other little things on here. There's these cool little speech marks. There's some little dots if I wanted to do some points. There's some little arrows. Let me think. Or I think I might just put the little dots down the bottom. Don't need to be too decorative, because I think sometimes with sports pages it's quite cool to have just a little bit more structure to them. So once again I stamp off, check it's stamping okay, and I'm just going to do little dots at the bottom to even that off. I might do a little bit more to that, but we'll just go with that to begin with. Now some other embellishments that I wouldn't mind using came from that other stamp set that I mentioned right at the start, which is called the Fresh Paint Scrapbooking, which I know is actually from a year or two ago. Many of you got this in your stash, I do remember, and it has some really cool thin cuts as well, the different shaped stars and hearts. So I've gone off and cut some of those, and I thought I'd just stamp a few just for fun and see if it's going to work out as the embellishment, given that we had a little bit of a star theme coming out. So I'm going to grab my star on my ink block, and I'll just do this a couple of times once again to try and get a good image coming through. And once I see that's already darker, which I know is starting to take the ink better, it's often the way when you've got these, particularly these more blocky stamps, to do this. It's definitely getting a lot darker still. So I'm going to be a lot happier with this one when I stamp it than if I'd just done it the first time. Now there is a right way and a wrong way with the star, so let me see if I can find it. And it requires me to look over the top, so I hope I'm not getting in your way too much there. What have we got? We've got a pretty cool star. So that's one embellishment I can use. There is also some other stars in there. I quite like this one because it's got a shadow to it. So let's just give it a go. I'm stamping it upside down. See if we can get a little bit more happening. Yep, that's looking good. So where's our piece that we want? That's the right way. Hold it on, and what do we have? A really nice star. Okay, there's a couple more of stars that I might do as well, just so that we've got a few at our fingertips to play with. Let's just grab this one. So they're slightly wonky stars, which is what quite appealed to me with this lot. We've got one last one to go. Let's see if I can get this the right way. Such a tiny one. I wonder if I did get it right. Oh yes, that looks pretty good to me. Okay, so we've got some stars to embellish with. And if I go back to this piece, there is also a couple of little sayings that I can pop into a circle. So I've cut a couple of circles out, and I might just grab, let me see, good friends and great adventures. That could be fun. Or the inner circle could work too, probably, given that they were their own little team. Let's just try this one. Okay, and we'll pop this into the middle. And I've also got a little circle here I wouldn't mind doing. So I'm going to also clean up my messy block. Grab the outline circle. That finishes that off really well as well. And because I have got my stitch circles, which are just slightly bigger, possibly I might overlap it as well. So that's given me a few little embellishments to get started with. Just a few stamp sets that have the right kind of theme to work with a sports page. Works quite well. Right, so I'll just clean up my mess and let's just see how it all comes together. So here it is, guys, all put together. We've got our nice title. We've pulled in all of those star embellishments around, a little subtitle, Good Friends and Great Adventures, and I've got a little spot ready for some journaling. So I hope you liked seeing how that process came together, using up my stash, creating a whole variety of titles, and just having a bit of fun with that Volume 6 pattern book. Thanks for watching.